Hi everybody, how are you all? I thought I'd treat you all on this week of love. Okay, guess what I've got for you during the first hour? I've got Shazzie love. Woohoo! So we're gonna just share the love. Anyway, who have I got with me in the chat box today? Oh, Anna. Hello, Anna. How are you? Yes, we've only just started the music first, and then we've got Shazzie on next. And then who else have we got? Oh, we've got Bitchin. Bitchin's here. And I spelled libido wrong. Something's going wrong with that Bob. His spelling's all over the place, particularly as the Today Show is all about love. That's probably what's sent him off the edge a little bit. Jack's here. Hello, Jack. Nice to see you, Jack. And we got Stingray. And the captain's on board, which is always good to know. And there's Jason. Hi, Jason and Alan. Thanks for all posting. Come and say hello in the chat box to me. And let's get it all going. Right then. I'm going to hand you over to Shazzie. Fabulous interview. It's really funny. Today on Food for Thought, I've got Shazzie. Who else would I want? She's an author, TV presenter, entrepreneur, a visionary in paradise, a raw foodist. She's back to give us an update on her TV show and how it's going with Sky, and to help us on our voyage of love this week. And this is my Valentine's to all of you. I know, I'm spoiling you as always. I could have got you chocolate, but anyway, you know me, a health food slant. So I've got a few interesting facts. Here's the first one. Studies show that before a man even speaks a word, the way he stands, whether he is slouching or not, counts for over 80% of women's first impression. So, boys, I want you to sort yourselves out. No slouching, please. Go and shave. Get ready for the Shaz. Shazzie, hello, how are you?
I've got a vision now of a million men standing in front of me, all not slouching. Hello, Debs, how are you?
I'm fabulous. And don't encourage them all in the chat box.
I can't help but encourage them.
So how's it all going since we last spoke? Just give us an update, because I heard on the grapevine that you sold Detox Your World. So, was it time for something new?
Yes. Well, I had Detox Your World since I conceived it. It was my little baby. In 2000, I registered the company, and I didn't quite know why I was registering a company, because I registered it and then I went off and fannied around in Spain for 2 years doing naked yoga on the beach and writing a book. So I wasn't being very serious at it, but behind the scenes, all these little things that I was thinking of selling, I was getting my mum to stock them and put them in my spare bedroom, and I ended up sort of starting the business with my mum, and it became this huge empire of love, and it was Europe's biggest superfood company and raw food company. And I got to the point, it was 4 years ago, when Adam, the guy that I was living with, died, and I was just like, I'd already thought about selling the business, but when that happened, I just knew that it wasn't my destiny to keep going on that way, and I had the opportunity to really look at what my life was and what I wanted for myself. And I didn't want to be a businesswoman. I'm not a businesswoman, it kind of cripples me, that whole thing. Thank God I had the right people around me to actually run it. I just had all the ideas and wrote all the stuff and was the front woman for it, just that's all I did. But I thought, somebody else can take that business and really turn it into something more magnificent. And so I was at an Anthony Robbins Business Mastery course in November 2011. And I met this guy who was queuing for the, to get the front row seats. And he had a huge green drink in his hand, and I'm like, oh, I need to know this man. I introduced myself, and we went and had lunch, and by the end of the lunch, he said, I'll buy your business from you. And I'm like, well, this was worth every penny. So we then worked out a deal, and he's now taken over the business with his business partner, and I consult for them, sometimes still involved with it, but I don't have the responsibility. So since I sold it, July July 2012, I've kind of just been sunbathing and doing my house up and fannying around, really. Doing really barely anything. It's been amazing because I was a workaholic and I thought that that's what I should be doing, but clearly not.
And since we last spoke, your TV show's come out, hasn't it? So give us an update on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I say I've been fannying around, but yeah, I forget about things like this, you see. Yes, I got a TV show. It's really exciting, isn't it?
It is.
It's really exciting. We did the pilot for it ages ago. We actually recorded them all a long time ago as well. They've shown one of the series of 6, which was the raw chocolate episode, which was it's just lovely and brown and dribbly. And the next one is they've almost finished editing that, so that should be out in a couple of weeks. But it's a small TV channel, so they don't have massive resources to just edit really quickly, clearly. So, you know, I thank everyone for their patience and for their encouragement. It's on active channel Sky 281 and also FreeSat now, channel 401. And it's called Raw Kitchen. And it's like a magazine type show. So it's in my kitchen, like my beautiful heavenly kitchen. And I'm making food, like all raw food. And then I get guests on and I talk to them about things, and then we go out and about on the streets and chat to people and go to restaurants and all these really cool things. And we also did a feature-length one of a raw food event, which should be the last one that comes out. So they're all recorded. They just need to be finished off with the editing and put out there. But it's time. It's absolutely time. I've decided, in my infinite healing journey of myself, I've decided that I'm not going to hide anymore.
Did you really hide anyway, Shazzie? You just seem so out there.
Well, I think that's the point, isn't it? I'm out there and not really in here.
What has actually been the reaction?
It kind of reminds... watching the TV show?
Yeah.
Or to not hiding?
To the television show. There's a little bit of a delay here, so I'm kind of talking over you occasionally. But yeah, what has been the reaction to the first raw food show on television?
The first raw food show in the world. Sorry, I can't sing, and I forgot I was on the radio then. Right, what was the reaction has been huge. When we put the pilot up on the website, I mean, the pilot went on the TV as well, but when it went up on the website, it had more hits in the first week than any of the other TV shows that they've ever had in their whole history of this channel, apart from one. And so I was like, well, who's beat me on views then? So I had a look, and it was an ex-porn star doing something. I'm like, oh, that's all right. I'll let her off. So, yeah, massive feedback. And they were all really surprised, by how many, like tens and tens of thousands of people had looked. I mean, it might be hundreds of thousands now, I'm not sure. But that's only on the web. Their channel goes out to up to 30 million people over Europe. So I don't know how many people have seen it. It's very exciting, isn't it?
Oh my God, that's incredible! 30 million people.
I know. But it's like, because I don't understand numbers very well, Debs, as you know. So I'm like one of those special people, and I see numbers. It's a bit sort of, what is it? It's a bit like synesthesia. I don't see them as big, squishy, coloured things, but I see numbers as blocks of things. And so, 30 million is just like a big block in my head. It's just a huge block rather than a little block.
That is incredible coverage to be getting for a raw food show, though. That it's something that is very, very niche.
I know, and this is why I'm really excited that, the rest of the show is going to come out very soon, and why, out of all the people that promote raw food, I ended up being gifted with that. I don't mean that, you know. I just feel so lucky. But to be honest, I'm very, as you know, I'm very strong on creating what I want. I'm a mistress of manifestation. And the other day I was clearing out my old stuff with my cleaner, and I came across some stuff that I'd written of what I wanted, and I wrote it in the year 2001, I think, which was the year after I formed my business. And I wrote, I will sell my business by 2010, and I sold it in the middle of 2012, which isn't too far behind. I mean, I found the buyer like not quite a while before, and I will have found publishers for my books. And what happened there with my books is that the guys that I sold the business to became my UK publishers for my books. And also in 2010, one of my other books became published by North Atlantic Books in the States. So I've got this piece of paper that's showing me all this, and it's all come true. And then I realised that one of the other things I did, and this is how I got the TV show, is that, I went from setting really flaky goals on pieces of paper that I then lost for 10 years, clearly, which is nice to find them, and into creating my own goal-setting technique, which I then packaged and created a course out of because it worked so well for me. And I call it Divinity in a Box, because it's like you find your divine part of you and give that as a gift to the world, and that's your service to the world and your love to the world, and it's beautiful and it works. And when I last did Divinity in a Box before I got the TV show, I wrote, I don't want to work on my own anymore, because I'd worked on my own at that point for 11-12 years, which, you know, is a little bit isolated even for a recluse. So I wrote this, and I wrote lots of other things, and I'm like, I'm not going to, you know, at my time of life and with the experience and the exciting projects that I've had in my life, I'd written 5 books and all the rest of it. I'm not going to settle for anything mediocre, but I knew I was ready for something huge. And my mantra has always, my vision statement has always been to make raw food mainstream. Yeah. Which I've done a lot towards in all the work I've done. And so when the producer walks into my house, wanting to do a documentary on urine therapy, and he sees my ideal kitchen, and he goes, "Oh, I love this kitchen. It would be great. I've been thinking about doing a raw food show. This kitchen would be perfect for it." And I went, "Yes, and I'd be the perfect hostess." And I don't know where that cheekiness comes from sometimes. But that's how I got it. And so, when we were recording, it was really hard work because I had to do the washing up, and I don't know how to wash up, Deb, so it's really difficult. So, making the food and being in front of the telly was easy, but washing up, man, that really drained me, literally, like down the sink. And but it was such fun because there was, the 2 guys that I was working with, they were just such lovely guys. And then my special guests that would come, and I would dress up and wear nice clothes and nice makeup. And I'm like, oh, this is the life. I like this. And so now what I've decided, my next Divinity in a Box thing that I've written is that I want some kind of TV contract where I'm doing like food investigations. Can you imagine if somebody got hold of like the horse meat scandal or something like that and then ran with it? And do you know what I mean? It could just be like, you could really turn people around health-wise if you've got somebody who understands how food works in the body, just like investigating, like Louis Theroux, but of the health world. Oh, that's the job. That is the job I'm holding out for next, Debs, and I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to get off my sofa until it comes.
So in effect, when I was going to ask, are you doing another series? You're actually thinking of doing the Louis Theroux instead.
Well, there's this lovely saying that I live by, and it says you get what you ask for in life, so you might as well ask for something big.
It is fascinating, the whole manifesting part of things, because I don't think people really truly understand it. That they actually are in control of their own reality and what happens in their own reality.
I think they don't understand it often because they are seeing their reality is not making them happy. And they can't believe that they would create that themselves. But we are all such strong manifestors that we create everything ourselves, the good and the bad, or, you know, the so-called good and the bad. And that's how strong our mind is. And that's why we've got to be very impeccable in our choice of what we allow into our experience. So, excuse me, just did a little burp then. It's really important not to watch negative stuff and not to get sucked into negative stuff. I mean, you know, I was at, like, Evie, my daughter, was at karate the other night, and this guy, one of the dads, came and sat next to me with a huge World War II book. I'm like, why are you reading that? And he's like, you know, lest we forget, and that whole vibe. I went, God, it sounds like my dad. And I just thought to myself, this is like, this... God, this is like reading about murder to prevent other murders. Do you know what I mean? I don't get it. I don't get why you would suck yourself into something negative to stop that negative thing happening again. It's like, surely it's the opposite. It's like the war on drugs, you know, doesn't work. The war on anything doesn't work. We know this. We know this to be true by how the world is happening, how the world is manifesting. So I was like, oh, I'll just have to kind of look the other way, because I feel one of those sort of flaky hippie moments coming on where I go, ooh, I can't let that into my reality.
But in a
I said to him, does it make you happy? He went, no. And that's the point. He's doing it, he wants to do it, and it's making him unhappy, and he's wondering why he's unhappy. So, getting back to your original statement, Debs, yes, we are absolutely all the best manifestors ever. And if you are getting anything that you don't want, first of all, be aware that you're creating it. Secondly, with awareness, you can change it. If you don't have the awareness, you can't change it because you believe you're not in control and not responsible. But once you're aware, you can change it, and you can notice the things you're doing to create that. And slowly you can become really clever at unpicking certain ways of being and certain defense mechanisms and certain character parts of your character, and you know, everything just slowly feels like it's not got so much of a grip on you, and the world doesn't crash in as soon as you open your eyes or wake up in the morning. And that's when you really realize that you are a divine being. You already are, but to realize it is just such a beautiful feeling. And with that, then you know, you're free to move in the world however you want, because you know you're loved, you know you're held, you know you're safe, you know there's no such thing as death. Then, you know, it's like all these beautiful things become apparent to you, and living as a person who's awake is the biggest gift you can give the world, let alone yourself.
That's just absolutely beautiful. For me, nothing happens in my world without... nothing happens in my reality by accident. It's all by design, and it's all happened because of me and what I've been thinking. Yeah.
And the other thing is, Debs, you know that you're the centre of the universe, and that this is a holographic universe. And if that is so, which we are led to believe it's so by all the current evidence, then you can create anything you want. So why settle for less? You know, why write a sixth book when you could have a TV show? Do you know what I mean?
I always ask,
why have a partner that doesn't make you feel like a god or a goddess? Do you know what I mean? Why settle for anything? Why settle for anything? There's no need to compromise in this world, ever. And that's not being selfish, and that's not saying that nobody else's feelings are important. But if you get yourself straight in this, you'll find that everything else falls into place, and you're just surrounded by joy and love and happiness every single day. And it's a beautiful, beautiful place to be, and it's a beautiful way to be around other people. What a gift you can give other people by being happy and joyful yourself.
I talk about when people interact with me, I'm really clear about the energies that they're going to receive from me, because I believe that I leave almost like a watermark on them. And so I want to imagine myself dancing with their energies and leaving them feeling really buoyant and happy and energized, because that's the watermark I want to leave. Because I believe we almost stamp on everybody. And like you say, why would you stamp on people and it be negative? I want to leave a stamp which has, almost covered every single cell in their body with beautiful kisses and energy and love and happiness, so that they actually feel like they've gone away with something really beneficial.
Yeah, and they can go and create something beautiful in their own lives because they're feeling inspired, rather than feeling disempowered, which most healers in the conventional world will make people feel that way.
And I always ask myself the question, if something's happened for me that I don't want in my life, I will always ask, well, why did I choose that? I question my own thinking, so I never put it out there in regards to, oh, woe is me, this has happened to me. But actually, I wonder why I chose that. I wonder what I wanted to learn from that. What was I thinking?
Well, when I had this tumour on my leg, I did a family constellation on it, which I don't know if your listeners know about family constellations, but it's like you all stand in a circle, and either you or someone who represents you goes into the circle. And the way that we did it was that my this girl represented my tumour and I was me. And the tumour kind of, you kind of go into a sort of a trance. And so people can say it's like psychodrama, but it's not. It's it's coming from different dimensions, the spirit in the room, and it's very beautiful to watch and to experience. So you're not sure why these things are happening within the circle, but they do. So this girl that was my tumour, she fell on the floor, shriveled up, and I ran towards her and I said, I'm sorry, and I didn't mean to kill you. And the guy who was facilitating said, you're apologising to your tumour? And I'm like, such a hippie, I'm going, everything's got a right to live. Oh my God, I didn't get it. And anyway, this constellation went on, I don't know, half an hour or an hour. It's very hard to know when you're in the realms of magic. And we ended up both in like a fetal position, but opposite each other. And it was coming to life and I was getting weaker and weaker. And someone came in and they were my daughter, they were Evie. And they held her hand out to me and I held my hand out, but I couldn't move. And the guy said, say these words, it's okay, my daughter can live without a mum. And I just repeated it. And he said, you repeated it? I'm like thinking, well, he told me to say it. But the reason I repeated it was because there was a truth there, that there was a part of me that didn't want to be alive. And that really shocked me. It really shocked me. And the tumour, as she was getting stronger, said to me, this is a gift. And I was going, but I can't see the gift and I can't get any worse. I can't get more ill than this. I might die, I'm trying everything I can to see what this gift is. And anyway, the whole thing cleared itself energetically. So I knew there would be some differences in my life after that. And after, I've continued with quite a lot of healing, because even though I got rid of the tumour with herbal stuff, and then you did a lot of energy work on me, even though I did that, I know that if you've created a tumour within yourself and you don't deal with the emotions of it, it's going to come back within a year or two. So I just thought this is one of the reasons why I haven't worked and stuff, because I've been really deep in my healing, trying to figure out what this is. Because like you say, you get to the point where you go, how did I create that? Why did I create that? What's in it for me? What's my payoff? And, only like actually last week have I realised what the whole thing is about, which is just so crazy. And I realised now that it was a ball and chain. It was a ball and chain. It was trapping me, because I'd made the decision at 4 that I wasn't perfect for certain reasons, and therefore I couldn't properly be seen. And this is why I've lived this reclusive life and stuff like that. So it's amazing to see how it's all kind of, it's unravelled, and I've been happy, since then. I've been happy a lot of the time. But it's only as it's all started to properly disappear out of my cellular memory, those feelings of not being good enough, that my health has properly returned, and I know that I'm not going to create another tumour again, and that my leg is now looking so different. The scar tissue's disappearing, and it's starting to look a lot more healthy, and there's some hair growth and stuff like that. So it's a fascinating thing. But I think what I really want to kind of put across to your listeners is that sometimes the journey isn't overnight. Sometimes it is. Like Byron Katie woke up one morning enlightened. Fantastic. I wish we could all go through that. I wish we could, because the pain of going through something deeper, sometimes you can feel like I can't actually go on anymore. But I think when you realize that you're guided, that you're going to get through it, that you're going to feel better after than you ever have in your life, and that you can then give that gift of knowledge to other people is the thing that's the thing that made me go on, and it's probably the thing that makes other people go on. And I guess actually my point is that when you ask that question, be prepared for an answer that may take some time to reveal itself, because it's your hero's journey. It's your journey to awakening, and sometimes that takes time.
Do you think that at the moment many of us are on what Joseph Campbell calls the hero's journey, that we're in a process of leaving old ways behind and moving into an more expansive self? Yeah.
Anyone that's going, God, this is hurting, this is a struggle, why is it like this? I know life can be easier, is probably on it, to be honest. Anyone that's like, there's that lovely saying, and I don't know who said it, might actually be Joseph Campbell, but I'm not sure. They said there's no such thing as an enlightened person. There's just a person that has a series of enlightened moments. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really beautiful and very true, because, we all have those ahas, and we have the reprieves, those moments or weeks or months where everything goes really, not goes really smoothly, as in nothing happens in life, but your feelings and your emotions are settled, and you can handle things, and then bang, there's another thing, and you're like, why this, what now, what have I got to look at now? But it really is just so that you can be a more open flower in the world, tightly closed buds that don't fully open are a waste of unexpressed energy, and that's not what the universe is wanting for us. We are the universe in a body, having these brand new experiences, like seeing brand new things with our eyes, and feeling brand new things with our touch, and we can't fully feel that and fully express that if we're closed, and if we're living that jam factory worker life. Not that I don't think jam factory workers don't have a place in the world, but that see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, no questioning world. So yeah, I feel like right now that obviously more people are on it, because we're living in a different world, and there's going to be massive shifts, but they're happening slowly. The feminine energy is changing radically now. Women are getting much more into their power, and by that I do not mean into their power as an equal to a man. I mean into their power as something completely opposite to a man, and therefore completely magnetic to a man. And so I'm gonna say this, and I know that some people who are into feminism might disagree and might go, but the world won't change unless we fully express ourselves as the beautiful females that we were born to be. And so I feel again, very strongly that it's our duty and birthright to become that. Because while we're pretending to be men, the world's not balanced. Men are amazing. Men are like, wow, aren't they fantastic? You know, I'm just picturing them again outside my door. But we're not men. And when we really get that, there's going to be huge shifts in global consciousness and in how the world is, in how it functions. You know, there's a kind of a Native American saying that says the world will be saved by Western women. I totally feel that with my whole heart. So, you know, for any females, any girls that are listening, just get into reading about really getting into your feminine energy, your absolute, you know, we can birth a new world. We are so strong like that. And we're light, we're the light of the world. How beautiful that's our job.
I think it's really fascinating that you're talking about feminine energy. I actually, when I had Kelly Rosano on at the end of last year, I think part of the interview and part of our conversation afterwards was actually about feminine energy and the shifts we're seeing in that. And I'm seeing it in my clients, I'm seeing it in myself, and it is really fascinating, this whole shifting of energies, particularly for women, that's happening. Are you seeing it? Are you actually experiencing that yourself?
Well, I've seen it in you a lot, Debs, my God. Could get you out of trousers at one point.
I'm going to have to edit that out.
Oh, yeah. Am I seeing it myself? What I'm seeing in myself is a deepening of it. I've never denied my femininity. I've always said I'm a femininist, not a feminist. Mm-hmm. And I really have always appreciated the difference between men and women and the way that we can co-create things and not compete for things. I love men. What can I say? They're beautiful beings. So for me, it was more about the more subtle aspects of male to female communication that I've been looking at and studying quite intensely. And it's amazing when you see how different we are and how, God, no wonder there's so many arguments between couples, because we do speak completely different languages and stuff like that. So I've just been kind of refining my way of communicating with men, and I get completely different results. The other day, for example, it was just before Christmas, and the car park in Waitrose was really full, and there was a huge queue of cars trying to get in. So I thought, oh, I know, I'll nip round the wrong way. I'll push in. And the car park attendant saw me, right? And he's like about 80 years old with white hair and lots of wrinkles. And he came storming up to me, pointing his angry finger at me. And I wound down the window and smiled at him. And he went, oh, I don't want you to hurt your car. Let's make sure you reverse the right way round so you can get into this space here. And I was like, oh, my God. All I did was smile.
There's so many people who don't smile nowadays.
I know. But I know that, like, I would have, at some point before in my life, I would have met that energy with, well, it's your fault. You should have more spaces in your car park. Can't you say I'm a blah, blah? And then I'd be going, can't you, in my head, I'd be going, can't you see my pain? I'm a single mother. I can't cope, which is what, that's our anger goes from somewhere, doesn't it? And I was like, because I hadn't got any anger in me, because I'd done all this healing. And I got completely, and now every time he sees me, he gives me a nice wink.
You're his favourite woman now in the car park.
I know. The amount I spend in Waitrose, I'm sure I am. So, yes, a smile's amazing. And I think that, some women might think that if you are in your feminine energy, then you're not going to get taken seriously, or you're not going to get paid as much as somebody else, or you're not going to be seen or treated as an equal. But I just feel really strongly like I think my business, I ran it in a really feminine way, actually. And I paid myself handsomely, thank you very much. Paid my staff equal amounts, whether they were male or female, no matter whether they wore trousers or skirts. And I've never felt that being a female in my feminine energy has done anything but give me more. I've had like loads of stuff in my life where I could just say, no, it's never been at a disadvantage, never once. Even when I worked in software, like I used to work with software engineers, no problem at all with money or with the way I was treated, nothing. So I think it's how you what you expect, it's the world you're creating, to be honest. And I think, regarding being taken seriously, first of all, I don't see the point in being serious. Do you know what I mean? Who wants to be serious? But, there's ways of communicating femininely without being a bimbo, without being flaky or blonde. I mean, I'm blonde, so I can say that. Do you know what I mean? I don't think. Well, there's no advantage to trying to be a man, really, for most women who are feminine naturally. There's no advantage. It's just another cover-up, another mask. So let's drop it. Let's drop the mask and embrace our loveliness.
But I do think a lot of women don't realise they've moved into a masculine role, particularly women who've worked in the corporate sector, who it's often a male-dominated environment or male-created hierarchy. So to get up that ladder, they have almost become pseudo-men, and then what they do is they bring it home with them. And they carry on the role of control in absolutely everything. And I don't think a lot of women realise that. And I know that from working with, a number of women on this topic in particular, that, their men are almost female in their relationship. They're the ones who are more reliant and not making decisions often. And the woman has got, it's taken all of responsibility away from the man.
Yeah. Well, there's a few points there, Debs. First of all, there's a couple of books, if anyone's interested in changing that in their own relationship. There's one called Give Him His Balls Back, and there's one called The Surrendered Single or The Surrendered Wife, depending on what relationship status you've got. They're both really amazing books, and they'll teach you how to change that in your relationship. But my big point, and I know this is controversial, and I know you wouldn't expect anything different from me, is that I fully feel in my heart that there is no reason why, right, this is where I differ from these people who write this stuff, right, because they say be in control at work, be linear, do this, that and the other, but when you get home, become feminine. And I think that that's selling women short in the workplace. I think that we can create a better work environment when we use our feminine energy, because we're using a different part of our brains and we're using a different essence. So we're bringing in something that men can't bring. We can pretend to be men. We're very good. We are amazing at doing things. We're amazing at juggling all the balls, literally, and absolutely amazing at doing everything, right? But it's exhausting. And who wants to be exhausted? Who wants to do all that? Nobody. Women's Lib gave us a lot of things that we needed as equality, like equal rights with voting and money and stuff like that, technically. But for us then to go, well, all right, I want to work full time and be a full time mum and clean the house. No, doesn't work. No. So we didn't need to take it all on. That's what I'm saying. So again, if you're a female and you're into this, I would just really look at how you are working and how you can bring your beautiful, expansive, light, feminine energy into your workplace. Because I know my business was successful because I I was using a different part of my brain, that I was a visionary, that I saw the overview, that I didn't use detail and linear things and, business plans and all that other stuff. I saw it in my feminine way, and that's how it became so successful. And I'm sure that when people really get the proper point of being a feminine female, that it isn't just about having a good relationship, it's about the whole world changing. And I'm I know I'm not one that, I know there are not that many people that are saying this kind of stuff, but I really believe it in my heart to be true.
And I absolutely agree, to be honest. I do feel that there needs to be an absolute shift, and from ourselves, where we don't have to feel like we have to act like men.
Yeah, but it's happening naturally because, we've birthed into a new world now. So as the energy lightens, as it shifts, people can't help making changes. That's why there are more people on their hero's journey now. That's why there are more people reading about masculine and feminine energy now. Thank God for David Dada years ago giving us all this. Thank God for even John Gray, which is not the kind of stuff I really read, but at least he brought it to the mainstream that we are different. And oh, how amazing it's going to be the day that we all celebrate the beautiful differences that we have.
Gosh, it would be fantastic.
Yeah. Well, let's celebrate it now.
Yay.
We love men and we love women, and we're very different, and that's God, variety. That's what we need. Yeah. Let's not pretend to be something we're not. Drop it. Again, I've said this twice now, haven't I? Drop it. Drop the masks. Drop the masks. Drop the pretense. Be your beautiful divine self.
Just be yourself. But that's a really good point as well at the end, because I do feel that most people aren't themselves anymore. Most people are living a life where they're just driven by lots of external forces, and because they're not connected to themselves in a true way, in a true loving way, they don't know really about how to be themselves.
There are a lot of people like that, but what you notice as the energy of the world shifts, everybody shifts. Some people fall away, some people shift. There's a lot of people shifting, and so even though they don't know now, there are rumblings and stirrings, and they soon will, and they'll go on their path, which is beautiful.
Does having this level of awareness and kind of knowing help to create a new kind of unconditional love for ourselves, do you think? One that can kind of love no matter what?
Yeah, absolutely. There's the whole point of this is unconditional love, and actually conditional love isn't love, so yeah. I love you if don't work, does it? When we do something out of love, we get a different result. If your child does something that you don't like, you can shout at it, or you can lovingly guide it. And you get a much different result when you lovingly guide your children. It's very difficult sometimes because they're learning their boundaries on you, and they will play you like a fiddle. But if you're strong in your practice of unconditional love, you'll do it. You'll get it, and you'll get good results with a child. There's brilliant ways of communicating with children that means you never ever need to shout at them. I mean, who really wants to shout at the child? We do it out of exasperation, but you don't have to. You can get to a different point really quickly when you practice it.
Now, Neil Donald Walsh talks about how we need to kind of remember how to love, and that's for me is a kind of a bit of an odd statement, really, but the fact that we have to remember something that's so fundamental to our lives.
It almost feels like it was covered up so that we could find it again. It's like a treasure hunt. So, while we're searching for it, it can be a bit exciting and a bit frustrating, and we can feel in the middle of nowhere. But then once we find it, we can appreciate it so much more than if we'd never have lost it in the first place, and give a different kind of experience to ourselves once we've found it.
Now, interesting fact. The Mexican chief Montezuma considered chocolate a love drug and drank about 50 cups of chocolate a day before visiting his harem of 600 women. Talk to us about the link between chocolate and love, because I know you love your raw chocolate, and it's my favourite subject matter, let's face it, and you wrote a book on it.
And so. It's our special...
And you certainly know the route to my heart, so tell me about chocolate and the connection with love.
I'm your official feeder.
You said that last time. Everyone's going to get the wrong idea.
Oh, God. I'm not your official feeder.
But you do make the most fabulous chocolate.
Say that again?
You do make the most fabulous chocolate, let's face it.
I can't help it. I tried to make bad chocolate, but it didn't work out. You know that film Chocolat is on the TV at the moment with Johnny Depp and Juliette Brioche, and it's all about how she puts her emotions into food and kind of seduces a whole town into opening their hearts with chocolate.
Oh wow, that is such a good idea.
And they wrote that before we discovered raw chocolate. Amazing how it works. And now Johnny Depp is working with my friend Anthony Anderson on permaculture projects in France. So I said to Anthony, can you get me a date with Johnny Depp? And he goes, no, he's got a girlfriend. I'm like, oh, for God's sake. Anthony, you're either a friend or you're not. Honestly. Anyway, so... But, Johnny Depp was also Willy Wonka, Oh, yeah. And he discovered the cacao bean in the outer blah blah and found the Oompa Loompas. So there's a huge chocolate connection with Johnny Depp. It isn't just my little Valentine's fantasy kicking off. Anyway, back to the point. So chocolate is, it's a love drug. It's amazing. Okay, so it's very high in magnesium. And about 80% of the American population, it's probably similar here, is deficient in magnesium. And magnesium is known as the great relaxer. And what it does is it opens your heart. It's the heart mineral. And it's very interesting how there's such a high amount of heart attacks in our society. It's like we're kind of killing ourselves through lack of love because we haven't opened our hearts. So with chocolate or any other high mineral food such as green leafy vegetables, high magnesium foods such as green leafy vegetables, we can really start to open and expand our hearts. Obviously meditation and intention and things like that will also do that. And there's two other little components that kind of make it more of a love drug. And one is PEA, which is phenylethylamine, and I've probably pronounced it wrong, and some scientist will be laughing at me now. To them, I will say, you need to do an enema. It doesn't matter. So that's only found in any kind of significant quantities in chocolate and in algae, both of which are beautiful superfoods, and they go really well together. And that causes you to actually feel love in your brain. So when you've got people that are addicted to chocolate, they're trying to open their heart and feel love. That's all that's going on. It's just unfortunate that they're eating the cheapest, disgusting stuff often. And so all they're doing is giving themselves sugar rushes and sugar crashes, which is just, highway to hell. So raw chocolate obviously doesn't give you that weird state. So raw chocolate is the way to get that, if that's what you're after. And then the final kind of element in the love stakes for chocolate is that it contains neurotransmitting chemicals that cause you to release anandamide. And anandamide is the bliss chemical. And ananda is Sanskrit for bliss. Now this makes me sound like I'm really clever, but it's only because I wrote Naked Chocolate that I know all this, and through research. If you picked me up on the qualities of an orange, I might only be able to say vitamin C. So anyway, anandamide makes you feel bliss. So you've got, your heart is opening, you're feeling love, and you're feeling bliss. And this is why we are not even just a nation of chocolate lovers, but a world of chocolate lovers. So when we discovered raw chocolate, me and David Wolfe, we were like, oh my God, this is a food that will create waves of love, like tsunamis of love. And they can't ban it because it's a food that's already recognised. But because it's in a different form, it reacts differently. Every chemicals react differently when they haven't been cooked. And chocolate beans have more chemicals in them, more components in them than any other food. So we realised we were onto something huge, but you never really know quite how huge. And, you know, when we first had our chocolate experience in Hawaii, it was like this big whoosh in our bodies, and it was like as if the cacao gods had come into our bodies and given us these directions, you know, these orders. Thou shalt bring raw chocolate to the world. So it's like a bit like being a slave for a while. Little chocolate slave. not fair trade chocolate slave. Speaking of which, always make sure your chocolate is fairly traded. Do not have the vibe of slave labour in your body. And organic.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was the whole thing about chocolate is that it is one of the major things, that's the clever word, one of the major things that is creating more love, that is causing more love in people. So it's a massive revolution, actually, and I don't think David or myself realised how big it would be. But you can't really go anywhere now without seeing raw chocolate. And this was only, 2003?
Yeah.
2003 when we first found it out. And then 2005 when we published the book, Naked Chocolate. So it's not that long ago, 7-8 years. And now it's everywhere. And everyone's hearts are opening. And everyone's feeling love. Oh, God, what a job. It's
no wonder I always feel blissed out when I come back from yours.
You're like, no, I can't feed you, dog. I'm blissed out. Go eat something. Self. Catch a mouse.
Do you think if we all ate raw chocolate all the time, and that the energy of love that we actually had basically would change our world if we embraced it fully?
Well, all the time might be a bit difficult unless we had a tube put in.
I'll be honest, I'm managing it most days.
Intravenous chocolate. The thing with raw chocolate is that it's the real deal. So you don't actually need that much of it to have an effect. And it's worth remembering that even though Montezuma was a monster chocolate eater, you could perhaps work up to one cup of hot chocolate a day, and that would be enough. Do you know what I mean? That's plenty to start making a difference. And then maybe adding in some herbs into that, because chocolate has this potentiating way about it where it makes all other chemicals more absorbable by the body, more usable by the body. So when you add chocolate to anything, it makes everything more active. So it's a super clever food, and I do feel that I know people self-medicate with rubbish chocolate. I know they do. And it's really quite tragic to see it. Because they're not, they're doing the thing that their body's craving, that their bodies are being guided to do, but they're putting the wrong thing in. So it's not working for them. And if only those people turned to raw chocolate, or God, even at least slightly less sugary, more healthy chocolate, like the really dark stuff, then they would start feeling the love that they're craving. And then once you hit that point that your heart opens, oh my God, it's not about getting love from anyone else then. It's about being this beacon, like a huge beacon of fireworks fizzing out from your head, and everyone, even a car park attendant, can't help but smile at you. It's amazing. Who wouldn't want that? Who would want to just be, no, I want to stay closed. I want to stay closed and remain in this job I don't like and in a relationship that's dysfunctional and hate my life. Who would want that?
Do you think that this is the wild love that Jill Edwards in her book Wild Love talks about? Because, she says that anything less than wild love isn't love at all, basically, because it's missing all the fire and the passion that should be associated with it. And that, for me, is how you should feel all the time. You should have a passion and a fire for everything you're doing and be able to raise those energies and actually experience that within your whole body. Because I find it fascinating that when she says that most people don't live with wild love because they've never seen it or been taught it at all.
Well,
So is that what you're talking about?
One of the most interesting things about her book that I honed in on for myself was, she said, if you've got an issue that needs healing and you're in a room full of people, you will automatically go towards a person who can hook into that issue, right? And she says your deep self will do it with the intention that you're going to heal this, and your surface self, so your ego, will do it because it feels familiar and something that makes you feel safe, even though it's usually a very unhealthy pattern. So she says when you go into a situation with somebody that then becomes codependent and dysfunctional, it's because you're actually just trying to heal yourself, but you're not doing it right. It's the same as the chocolate. If you're eating rubbish chocolate, you're trying to heal yourself, but you're not doing it right. So, when she says that anything that isn't, unconditional love isn't love, which we all agree with, it makes absolute sense. Yet there are these people that come into our lives to highlight for us where we need to heal ourselves next before we can get to that point. Because sometimes we're never going to feel that unconditional love until we've healed it. We just can't. We just can't, with all the kind of tying yourself up in knots and sidestepping and putting masks on and protection, layers of protection that we do because of issues we've had in childhood that we haven't healed, we can't get to unconditional love. And so, completely agree with what she says, yet the full picture is definitely there in her book, because I've noticed it within myself and with people that I've met, that they go into these repetitively destructive, codependent relationships, and it's only when they get their healing, either through that person or through a healer, and then they leave that person, that then they can have the unconditional love that we're talking about.
How fabulous. I want to thank the tsunami of bliss and love, Shazzie, for this interview today. She's been absolutely fabulous, as always. How do people find you, Shazzie?
I made it easy.
That's good.
There's no numbers involved. Shazzie.com, SHAZZIE.com. I've got lots of free stuff on my website that I will give away right now. If you go there and just look for the free stuff thing in the top right-hand corner. I love giving free things away. Makes me feel really happy and even more like I can deliver my love to the world. Facebook.com/ShazzieFB, FB for Facebook, obviously, and Twitter.com/Docstar, DOXTOR.
She is the Docstar indeed. Now, dating specialists suggest that if a woman doesn't return a call after 2 messages, she's not interested. Boys, just take that to heart. Okay, thank you very much, Shazzie. It's been brilliant talking to you.
Love you, Deb.
And I'm back. Hello, everybody. Did you know that Plato theorised that reasoning originated in the brain, but that passions originated in the fiery heart? Oh, yes. Anyway, did you enjoy that? I hope so. And yeah, it looks like Anna did. Thank you very much. And Johnny, let's see what Johnny's saying. Oh, no, Summoness is here. Now this will be fun. Hi, Summoness. How are you? Let's see what you're all saying. And Anna's saying, thank you, ladies, for an hour of fierceness, funny girly banter and home truths. Absolutely love today's show. Thank you so much, Anna. That's very sweet of you. And did you notice she's called you all ladies? And I can't say what some of you are putting in the chat box at the moment because you know who you are. You're being rude. Captain, what you like, honestly. Anyway, so it sounds like you've all had a lot of fun in the chat box for a bit. And great. You make my day with the chat box, you really do. Hi, Deborah, says someone else. Hello. So we've got a few more people turned up since I started, so I appreciate that. And let's face it, I am only the warm-up act for Shazzie, so I'm under no illusions. He's on at 2 with his passionate heart for his Tesla coils. And he'll be teleporting himself, God knows where, probably into your living rooms. I have no doubt it's going to happen at some stage. Anyway, did you know a woman's heart typically beats faster than a man's? The average of a man's heart beats approximately 70 times a minute, whereas the average woman's heart beats about 78 minutes. 78 beats per minute. Isn't that great? So, yes, I know. I really do have a heart. Isn't that sweet? So today's show, the rest of it's all going to be about love action, and it's all linked with good health. And I've got no idea what's going to happen in the chat box, but I think it's going to probably continue being very, very funny as always. But I was going to see how many love song titles I could get in today's show, but to be honest, I got bored after about the first one, so I stopped doing that. And years ago, I once did a piece of training, and was Laurie, the guy I trained with. Because I did like corporate business training. We had this test going where we were trying to get as many song titles into the training course as we could on one day. And I managed to get Rose Garden Funeral of Sores into a corporate training day from Bauhaus. That made my day. Anyway, so I'm not going to do that today. After the first 2 titles on love, I got bored. Anyway, thought I'd talk to you, Carrie. Oh, what's Stingray saying? I'm going to get distracted now, aren't I, all the time with what's going on in the chat box. Apparently it's going 98 beats per minute when I walk in the room. Is that yours or mine? So the whole sex piece, I thought it's really interesting, to be honest, from a health perspective. About 40% of US women report having sexual dysfunction. I know, isn't that really sad? But that's according to studies, which at first actually really astonished me. So I'm going to get a bit more serious now. And but when I started to really consider this, I started to consider the levels of stress and the way people live their lives nowadays. It really kind of didn't surprise me that we had this happening. And I just thought I'll look a little bit more deeply into it, because it's easy to kind of say, oh, we need to eat these foods and it'll help your libido and you just need to do these things. But actually, you know, fundamentally, there's some key things happening which are causing this. And I see in my practice, I'm seeing an increase in infertility and reproductive issues. And actually, that's quite key. It's really actually important. Sexual functioning is really important to our lives, you know, because it's a feel-good factor, isn't it? Let's face it. You know, particularly for Stingray, who looks like he's up in court at some stage for running around the streets. So, anyway. But there's lots of things, and studies really do show that, you know, things like anxiety, and I see masses of anxiety. I see lots of anxiety in children nowadays, and that's actually quite saddening. So, lots of my client base, which is under kind of 12, you know, some of them have massive levels of anxiety. That's because of the exams and the pressure they're often put through. That's so sad. And, you know, they're put through this, and actually the long-term ramifications can be actually quite serious. So, there are lots of things that can cause sexual dysfunction, and anxiety is one of them. And if you've got it from childhood, can you imagine what it's going to have, the impact it's going to have with you in later life? Then we've got things like stress, your defensiveness, you've got fear. Lots of fear. We know about that. How much of the what we're constantly watching on televisions is driven by fear. The newspapers, the news. One of the reasons I bowed out of it because of the fear that's levelled all the time. You'd be permanently scared if you think about, if you just watch all this stuff the whole time. Loads of things in my Facebook feed now constantly driven by fear and looking at what's going on the whole time. It's such a shame. They've got things like, the failure of communication between people. It actually takes really heavy toll on your libido. It really, really does. I know. I wouldn't say the lack of communication is your problem in the chat box, guys. I really don't. But if you're suffering from stress, then your body really doesn't want to effectively reproduce itself. It doesn't want to reproduce itself whilst it's basically thinking it's being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, or it's under a stress condition, or it's suffering from a trauma. No, it gets switched off because actually it's of no use at that moment. It just wants to basically go into a survival mode and survive the stress situation and deal with it as best as it can. So, this is where when we're constantly under stress, particularly in work and by situations around us, we need to manage them effectively. Otherwise, it impacts on your sexual functioning and your libido. Josh is saying, we say, feck it, protocol works. Thank you for that, Josh. But stress eats up your nutrients. It eats them up really, really quickly because your body can only be in a defense mode. It can be a rebuild mode, to put it as basic. And actually, if it's in stress, it's in a defense mode. And when it's in that mode, it really doesn't want to actually do much more than survive. And get itself out of that situation. Otherwise, and this is where it just will not. It doesn't really want to reproduce itself. And stress can quickly lead to the body actually being malnourished and being in a deficient situation. And malnourishment definitely impacts on fertility over time. Very, very definitely. I often see massive deficiencies. And when we've got specific deficiencies happening, what happens is that the body then finds it difficult to truly function properly. And it starts to change the neurotransmitting and all your hormone transmitters across your whole body. And therefore it's signalling in a different way. It's not signalling, hey, 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 here I am, boys. It's actually signalling, keep away. I just want to survive this situation. Yeah, and Rich is saying a chemical imbalance. And Bitchin' Bob's encouraging Stingray with his Marmite smear. We need to stop that. We really do. I don't think Stingray needs any more encouragement than he's already got. I really don't. Oh, Stingray used to be a great libido in Prestatyn. Had some great holidays there as a kid. Thanks, Stingray. I knew there was a reason my parents didn't take me to Prestatyn in Wales when I was younger. Right. Okay, well, according to Professor Gert Holstage from University of it's some university that I cannot even say. I don't know why I've put that in my notes, actually. It's in the Netherlands. He says fear and anxiety need to be avoided at all costs if you want to have an orgasm. Yeah. Never mind wanting to feel like you're having sex in the first place. No, I added that bit, honestly. But it is fascinating with fear and anxiety because it truly does change the whole picture of the body. So whereas we're often immersed in it, can you imagine all the things that we constantly were like goldfish in a bowl with all of this toxicity of thinking around us from the television, the media, constantly, which war are we actually, war against Mesopotamia, are we now on, is it the Oceania and all that business? This is all it's playing out as. They just want to keep us in fear. And, fertility and your libido is dramatically impacted by it, really is. And so your brain and your nervous system, they actually control your sex glands and your genitals, and that is why they also control your sexual desire. Your brain has such a massive impact. Brain health is really, really key in this. It really is. You need to get off the Marmite. Or stay on it, Stingray. Depends, doesn't it, what you want out of life. But it impacts, your brain will impact on your ability to actually function properly and have orgasms and things like this, and be able to orgasm as well, and how quickly you can orgasm and that sort of thing. Your mind has a massive influence on good health, and therefore if you're feeling stressed and you're thinking negatively, then hey ho, your sex life is actually going to be impacted. I'm just going to say it as it is, guys. This is the week of love. So, it's a Saturday. You've got a few moments to sort yourself out ready for tonight. But it's not just stress and your thinking that has an impact. Your diet massively affects your ability to actually have a good sex life. And one of that's about your energy levels. Because if you haven't got the energy and you don't feel energized and you don't feel a level of vitality, then guess what? Your body's just not going to truly want to function. It's not really going to want to actually put the energy into reproducing at the end of the day. It's just going to want to keep going. So reproduction is one of those things that your body chooses to let go of when basically you're feeling too tired. And most people who come and see me nowadays are feeling too tired. Everybody talks to me about how they have no energy anymore. I don't even look at the chat box. Who's talking about Cyclops? Someone else. What's the Cyclops? I don't even know what to say about that. But you've got things like, things like your diet helps your blood to function properly, like your hydration levels. And if you need your blood to get to the appropriate areas, and one of them's your brain, guys. I know you were thinking of somewhere else at that moment, but actually it's like, you need to be functioning in the brain, and your diet is absolutely key for this. We need to get blood there. You need to get glucose going to it, so it feeds off it. Your brain's actually a really hungry organ. So diet is absolutely key for sexual function. It really, really is. And if the brain isn't getting a good supply of blood and nutrients, then it's less likely to be switching on your sex glands and your libido. I know. So let's get sharing the love, guys. And let's get that diet sorted. You need to get off that Marmite and stop running around in the streets, Stingray. No. I see now. Oh, God. Someone else, can you... It's bad enough having Stingray here bringing the tone of the conversation down in the chat box without you encouraging him. And Rich is talking about the tantric route. And Bitchin' Bob's talking about grapes for some reason. And why would you use something from Pfizer? Is Josh. Absolutely. And it's interesting you're talking about stuff from Pfizer, because, things like your Viagra, all of those drugs which are used for erectile dysfunction, they work by actually, let me think, increasing your nitric oxide production, which actually relaxes your blood vessels, which in turn increases the flow to your vital organ, guys. But I'll be honest, the price you pay for those drugs basically has a massive amount of side effects. So there's no point in going to Pfizer for your Viagras, because things like, some of the side effects are for being able to get an erection include heart disease, strokes, I don't even know if I want to say that, sterility. It really doesn't lead to basically a long-term life. So if you want to have love in your life long term, then those drugs are not the way to be going. You need to just look at what you're doing. You need to look at things like your stress levels in your life and your diet, because often this is what it comes down to. They're often impacting significantly. And Bitchin' Bob's saying stress. Johnny's saying age, indeed. Well, you know what? I'm not so sure age has got a big factor on that at times. As your body ages, as it goes along, effectively, if you've put the right diet in place and you're hydrated properly and you're doing the right things, you're not putting yourself under masses of stress, then your body will function far, far better. Let's see what else is being said. Rich is saying, but why do men get erectile dysfunction? That's too big a question for this show. In all honesty, for me to answer. There's lots and lots of reasons why that actually happens, and lots of it is down to stress and your age, and but diet plays a massive factor in that as well. John is saying apparently he's young, and I'm not even going to comment on what you've just said there, Coat. Behave yourselves. But I'm going to talk about what you might want to do instead of the stress. You know, what you might want to and why you might want to do it, you know, because it's actually been shown that sex can cause you to have fewer colds. And mainly, this is because as you know, when we have a really good sex life, we feel good, you know. Everybody knows that. We all feel good. And guess what? It basically boosts those hormones in your body, which then have a good knock-on impact. So in effect, we all start to feel good. We all know we get less ill when we're in love. You know, we don't need to eat as much when we're in love. And all those sorts of things. We just have that feel-good factor. And guess what? Research shows that we actually get less colds. You know? It can actually increase your immunoglobulin A, which is like, basically, it's an antibody that fights infections. I'm giving you permission to use sex as part of your treatment plans in your life for good health. Go out and enjoy it. Isn't that fantastic? So love is the drug. You're absolutely right, Nick. It is, absolutely. You know, move away from Viagra and just start the whole feel-good factor. It's the feel-good movement. Love is the drug. We should call it that, shouldn't we? And Stingray saying he finds Ladyboys monthly better than Viagra. What on earth, Stingray? It's no wonder you're up in court, really isn't. Are we taking donations to see whether we can get your legal representation or not? See how much remains. And someone else is saying I've got to stick my number in the chat box. No. I think you'll find that's a no. And Bitchin' Bob saying, oh, so hump more and stop colds. He likes that. Yeah. I could see, I already knew when I was writing this show, I knew exactly the way it was going to go. I really did. But you know what? Sex has a massive impact in so many different ways, often that we don't realise. Like, if you have regular sex with someone, as a woman, it actually makes your, it can bring your period actually into a more normalised and predictable period schedule. Isn't that amazing? Apparently, and the research kind of shows that apparently it's down to the male pheromones. That's quite useful for a woman, I have to say. Really quite good, you know, and for men, you know, because then at least you know if someone with your other half gets PMT, you're going to more or less know when that's going to happen far more regularly. But sex also reduces your stress levels. It does. You tell me it doesn't. How do you feel when you fall in love with someone? And that, you know, that honeymoon period at first, everything just seems to flow. Everything just seems to go really, really well. And, you know, you're really happy. You've got a permanent smile on your face. Everyone knows that you're getting your leg over. Let's face it. You can't hide it from anybody. Everybody just knows. Let's face it. It has massive impacts on stress levels. And therefore, you know, it's a really good factor for reducing your stress. But the you know, it's like the chicken and egg though, isn't it? If you're stressed, you're not going to want sex. So therefore, you've got to get yourself in a good place to want to have a sexual relationship, and a really good sexual relationship with someone. One that's trusting and truly loving. You be yourself. Not just where you're running through the streets as a wolf smeared in Marmite. You know? Sex actually activates nerves that have a calming effect. It really does. It's amazing. Actually, when we orgasm, apparently it creates neurotransmitters, which basically it does something in the brain that, what exactly does it do? I'm now trying to think of what specifically it does in the brain, because it reduces your, I've forgotten off the top of my head. Dag nabbit, I'll have to get back to that in a minute. It does something specifically in the brain. I've forgotten. I'll have to come back to that. I should have written it in my notes, shouldn't I? But you know what? Having sex lowers your blood pressure. Ooh, making love. So if you've got a blood pressure issue, make some love. Can you imagine? That reduces your risk of heart disease. If you've got heart issues out there, look at the love in your life. When people talk to me about heart issues, I always start to think about the love they have for themselves and the love they have in their life in general. Because generally, and I'm speaking in a generalised way, those heart issues are often down to the fact that they either haven't loved themselves or they're very giving and they put themselves last. And therefore they've given away all of their energy and they've done stuff for other people constantly. And yet we have to truly be in love with ourselves. Often when when I get people to truly love themselves, guess what? Their blood pressure starts to drop. Their vital signs start to come into balance again. You're going to reduce your risk of heart disease by being in love. Hey, and having regular sex. Isn't that lovely? It can have an impact. And of course, it impacts all the way through the body, but actually, research shows it can actually impact on your cholesterol, which I didn't even realise till I started to do a little bit of research. How fantastic's that? You know what? Loads of people are going off for statins. And actually, all they probably need to do is just love themselves and love their partner and have lots of sex. Isn't that fantastic? Let's get rid of the pharmaceutical companies and let's love. Let's see what Stingray's saying now. I can't help myself. Headaches weren't a treat for my sex life with the ex-wife. I used to spend 5 minutes every night slamming my head with the bathroom door. Oh, Stingray, what are you like? Honestly. I'm not even going into some of these comments. Yeah, and Rich is saying ancients looked at the menstrual cycle as the sacred time for women, and that's true. Many women have been brought up thinking it's the curse, and actually it's not. It's a beautiful time for women. The moon cycle's fantastic, absolutely fabulous. It truly is. Let's see what else you're all saying. Bitching Bobs, I say telling everybody has regular sex. Why am I laughing at that? The Bob bot just doesn't sound like he's having regular sex. Josh is saying statins are horrible. I agree, absolutely. And Johnny's telling us that he lived in Holland. I'm not sure why, but anyway, thanks for that, Johnny. I appreciate that. Oh, maybe you can say that doctor's name for me. What else is everyone saying? Loads of people are coming on to Prestatine, Matt McComb. Is that ever since Stingray was there? Captain, you've got so much to answer for. You really have. Anyway, oh gosh, do I even want to... I'm scrolling back, but I'm a bit... Oh, Nick's saying, is sex good for headaches? Possibly counter-argument. Yeah, I think it's a chicken and egg moment there. Of course it's going to be good for headaches. But obviously, if you're moving someone around too much, potentially it's not. So, but yes, I think, it's good for headaches. It's good for your overall well-being. It really, really is. Yeah, Josh said, if you're on a statin, you're suppressing your liver function. Good luck living long. Indeed, I agree. If you're on statins, you need to get yourselves onto coenzyme. Your coenzymes, basically. Right. So, the great thing is that when we're actually having sex, we often feel far more motivated. When we're in love, we feel more motivated to do things. Because guess what? It's releasing endorphins. Isn't that fabulous? And it's, and research shows it boosts your self-esteem. It improves, regular sex actually improves the intimacy in your relationships. Yeah. It's almost like a no Sherlock moment, isn't it, really? And that's because, we release oxytocin, which is the love hormone, because we're having regular sex, and the orgasms release this hormone. It helps you feel more bonded to your partner. It really does. How fabulous is that? Perfect. So as your oxytocin increases, so do your hormones, called endorphins, or as my friend Dave calls them, his dolphins, which just makes me laugh every single time. But things like oxytocin can help to reduce your pain. It actually lessens feelings of pain. So that's really quite useful for some people. So if you have got a headache, yes, it can work. If you've got things like arthritis, symptoms like PMS, it can all work. It can all reduce that pain by giving that feel-good factor. I know. And it can even get you a better night's sleep. I know one of you in the box has not had a really good night's sleep last night because you were saying to me, well, with your headaches and your lack of sleep. Yeah. You probably just need a bit more love in your life. Maybe. Let's see if I've got another quote for you. Did you know love can exert the same stressors on your body as deep fear? You see the same physiological responses like pupil dilation, sweaty palms and increased heart rate. I know, isn't that fascinating? And historically, sweat has been used as an active ingredient in perfume and love potions. I know. It's a bit scary, actually. So someone like Summoness is telling you that he's got a love potion. I think you just need to think twice about it. What have your tinctures got in them, Summon? So, what do you need to do? Apparently a leg end of lamb works for stingray. Any more ideas what everyone thinks they need to do? Apparently stingray also swam with endorphins once. Right. Yeah, I think you probably were sniffing a bit too much of your white powder. And Rich is going, bye Rich. Thank you for coming along today. So, what do I think you should do? Because you can actually boost your desire without the need for these drugs. So they're saying to you, the pharmaceutical companies, that sometimes the only way you can do this is actually by either buying their big cars, buying their chocolate, buying whatever they've got on the adverts, or taking Viagra. Well, actually, it's not the case. There are lots and lots of other natural ways that you can actually improve your desire, improve your libido, and just enjoy the love a little bit more. Exercise. I know some of you probably just need to do a little bit more exercise, in all honesty. Things like aerobic workouts, so actually they actually improve the blood flow, and this is what we're kind of talking about with this now. It's all about improving this blood flow to obviously your vital organs and your sex organs at the end of the day, and aerobic exercise is absolutely key for this. You need to keep things moving. It can also boost your mood, so in effect, we all know that when we go and do some exercise, when we go out into light, it actually makes us feel good. When we've got those feel-good endorphins going through ourselves, these brain chemicals, we then actually feel more that we actually want to connect with other people. We desire more, indeed. So, and also exercise increases your testosterone levels, which actually arrive about an hour after working out, apparently. And they make you feel sexier. I know. Oh. Apparently, Bitchy and Bob's saying he has regular sex, but it costs him a fortune. Oh, Liam's turned up. Hello, Liam. Nice to see you today. Apparently we're discussing his favourite pastime. We are indeed. Oh, well, I wouldn't know, but yes, we're talking about the love today. Since it's Valentine's week, I just thought I'd remind some of you, so if you have got other halves, then it might be the day to actually go out and do something nice. indeed. If you didn't do anything on Thursday. Now, the other things you can do are things like relaxing. Our lives are really, really busy nowadays. They truly are. We pile more and more stuff in. And basically, you know, we're stressed. We're stressed often. I tell people they're stressed from one end of the day to the next. It's madness, absolute madness. But the more stress we have in our lives, the less we're going to want to feel like we want to have and make love to somebody else, you know. But stress increases the stress hormone, cortisol. And that actually causes your testosterone to drop. In fact, it causes it to plummet, never mind drop. You know, and I often find that when the majority of my client base is female, and I often find that when I'm dealing with people with infertility, the woman has been tested, and yet the man hasn't. You know what, guys? If you are stressed, your testosterone is likely to have gone through the floor. Get yourselves tested. It might be your fault. You know, it might be down to yourselves. I see this over and over again. You know, the female half of the relationship taking all the responsibility for the fertility, and actually, it's often not the case. Look at your stress levels, guys, because if you are triggering that hormone cortisol, it is impacting on your testosterone. And if you're doing no exercise, well, you're not helping matters. And then guess what? I want to get plenty of sleep. I don't think that's too hard for most men, actually, after they've had sex, from what I can work out. But it helps to restore the body. Sleep's really, really key for restoration. And often, I say nowadays, sleep's almost like an extreme sport, that most people don't do it till after 3 a.m. in the morning, then get up at 6 or 7. And then, they go into work, or they're busy waving this banner going, look, I've had 3 hours sleep, isn't that fantastic? Well, guess what? The body doesn't actually enjoy you not having a lot of sleep. It needs the right amount of sleep for itself so it can restore itself. You cannot live permanently on very little sleep and have good health. Nick's saying testosterone, you can't afford a Ferrari. That was all down to libido earlier. Apparently he thought libido was actually a fast car. I feel very sorry for Julie, I really do. The problem is that once I read the chat box, I start laughing and then I can't carry on with my show after that. Yeah, and Johnny's saying get a dog and walk it. Absolutely. I've got a dog. It works for me. And Maria's saying yes, that she was tested for everything. It was really invasive. It is. And yes, everyone will be bragging soon about their testosterone tests, I'm sure. And people are saying endurance training. Indeed. And endurance training can actually have a negative impact as well as a positive impact. That's the other thing. So exercise, good amounts of exercise can be positive for the body. If you are taking it further, then you need to have the right diet in place, because if you are over-exercising, or you're properly, you're training for like marathons and things like that, you need to make sure you've got the right diet in place, because there's so many people training who I see who've either burnt themselves out training, or they've made themselves so they've got no periods anymore, or they've impacted on the fertility levels because they've actually put their bodies under stress training, and they don't see it as stress, they just see it as a workout. And actually the body is under stress and it needs to be able to recover properly. Oh, blimey. Right then, let me see what else is going on in the chat box. Yeah, Liam's saying, having sex, great exercise. Why do we laugh so much when we're talking about sex and not about other important activities? I laugh anyway, Liam, to be honest. But I'll be honest, whenever I'm doing this show, all I do is laugh because of the chat box the whole time. You all make me laugh my head off. And sometimes I can't carry on with the show because I'm laughing so much. And he says, it's good to laugh about sex. I think laughing is good. You're absolutely right. Laughing is absolutely brilliant. Bernie Siegel's work shows how good laughing is. That doctor purely used laughing to actually improve people's health. And it's one of the things that I constantly say to my clients. I say, are you doing things that make your tail wag? Is this the right show to actually phrase it like that? But I think most people had a tailectomy, and actually they need to be wagging their tails more, and then they need to be, finding the joy so that we all laugh all the time. I'm not even going to go there, Stingray. I'm not even going to say that out, honestly. And Nick's saying, good to laugh about sex, but not always good during sex. And yes, that is something I've learned in the past. Don't laugh. That's the fast end to a relationship. I know that from experience. Obviously, a man talking from experience there. Indeed. And whilst we're on to that, you got to add a little bit of novelty, and variety is the spice of life as well. Research shows that, partaking in new and challenging experiences, I don't know if I'm going to say this, can actually boost your brain chemical dopamine. And so basically, variety is the spice of life, and not just with your sexual positions and stuff like that, but in life in general. If you're living a mundane life, guess what? You're probably having a mundane sex life or a love life, if having a love life at all. Get out there, do things, enjoy life, wag your tails. Come on. Yes, anything new is a good idea. It really is, because you're going to fuel that brain chemical dopamine. Whoa. Right. And then there's other bits and pieces that you can do. Things like ginkgo. Ginkgo biloba is really, really nice. And that's actually been used, it is used with, to kind of treat sexual dysfunction. It basically brings more blood. Effectively. So it's that whole increasing of blood functioning, which is quite nice. You've got other things like, and I actually use ginkgo quite a lot for brain function in general. So that can be really, really useful. Can be, and Summon S is in the chat box. I think is he still here? Let me just see. Yeah, Summon's still here, so Summon might be able to give some more. He's the herbal king, so he can probably give more idea on ginkgo in particular. But I tend to use it with brain functioning more than anything. But I will put it in if basically I'm seeing a libido issue. Let's put it like that. So, and Bob's saying, so that's why my ex-wife used to laugh when we made love. I thought it was me. I'm going to take a drink. Try not to choke on it from laughing. Apparently, Stingray saying the only love life I got is in the mirror. I thought you were busy chasing people through the streets, Stingray. Honestly. Yeah, I'm going to go into some of those, Summon S, absolutely. Ginkgo. I spell ginkgo kind of differently, so I normally spell it like that with a G in it, so if anyone wants to get hold of it. But basically, you've got things like vitamin B, your pantothenic acid. They can be really, really useful because they're actually quite critical in the manufacture of sex hormones in the adrenal glands. So when I see someone with an adrenal picture, often I will put B5 in, and then they'll start to feel better, and then guess what? The libido starts to improve and come back. If I've got people with cancer pictures, often their libido has disappeared because the body's more interested in healing itself. And if you are ill, you're less likely to have a libido because your body's just wanting to function. It just wants to survive. It just wants to get better and heal. It doesn't actually want to be, having sex and making love, because there's quite a lot of energy goes into that. Well, there should be quite a lot of energy, I should hope, guys. Oh, God. I'm not even going to go. So, Stingray, what are you like? I don't read any more of your messages out. But yeah, B5 can be really, really beneficial. Okay, particularly if you've got a stress situation. Anyway, so to put B5 in, and your B complex can actually improve all your energy. So if you put your B complex in, so if you're not sure about taking single vitamins, because you might feel you're imbalancing yourself, then do put in basically a complex. You buy it as a B complex, and that can help overall. It improves the the production of your B vitamins in your bowel area, it will improve your bowel area, it will improve your thinking, your energy, because it all has an impact on the brain. That's the great thing about it. But, of course, it can help manufacture those sex hormones, which is absolutely fantastic. Then you've got things like choline, and that actually helps with levels of I never get this right. Acetylcholine, basically, which is actually a brain chemical that it sends let me think how to explain it. It sends your sexual impulses from your brain to your sex organs. And of course, that's kind of what you want at the end of the day. You want this hormone transmitting to be happening properly and to be functioning properly. And choline can be a really good way of doing that. Choline's found in things like lecithin, but it actually triggers your sexual messages in both men and women. And that's acetylcholine basically. And too little acetylcholine effectively will lower your sexual activity. So, this is where a really good balanced diet is absolutely key. This is all I end up going on about all the time. You know that, guys. It doesn't have to be complicated diet. It just has to be balanced and natural at the end of the day. Things like I'm going to have a look in the chat box because Nick's actually really laughing in my ear, so there has to be something funny going on, honestly. What on earth are you all going on about? Oh, and someone is saying ginkgo's difficult to get in the eye. Oh, right, okay. Maca-root, I'm going to cover maca-root in a minute, and I may as well cover maca-root now. Maca-root can be quite brilliant. It's an adaptogen herb, effectively. So what it does is it'll either heighten your hormones or it'll lower your hormones, but what it does is it adapts them, so it brings them back into balance as well as it can. Maca's superb for doing this. You've got other things like astragalus and stuff like that, and ashwagandha, which are also adaptogens, but I wouldn't be putting them in, and I wouldn't be using them unless there's a stress picture. But actually, maca can be absolutely brilliant for improving libido, definitely. That's from someone else. Let's see what else. I think we'll leave it at that. Okay, so we've got vitamin D. So if you optimize your vitamin D acts as like a hormone, so it's absolutely brilliant. And, they have a really, really good impact on things like your insulin levels and stuff. So, simple things and getting out in the sunlight, it can be quite simple. So, simple things can actually have profound influences on this area of your life, basically, without really having to, to take masses and masses of it. Let's see if I've got another quote. I don't think I have got another quote, actually. So, how long have I got? Oh, right. Almost at the end. It always goes so fast, doesn't it? So Liam's saying you have to have a good constitution to come on here, don't you, and discuss sex. I don't know if it's about my constitution. I think it's just I'm brazen enough. Maybe I'm shameless enough, actually. Yes, indeed. I just wanted to share the love today. I just thought, you know what? Why not? Let's talk about something that other people would not talk about. Because I see it a lot in my clinic. It's one of the things that I see massively because I see high stress levels. And so libido and sexual function is massively impacted. And most people don't want to talk about it, first of all. But I know that, when I'm kind of into the case with my clients, it's one of the things that generally comes up, and it probably, it happens to a lot of people and they don't tend to talk about it. I started off by saying about 40% of US women are shown to have sexual dysfunction. 40%. That's massive. And that's only those that are reporting it. So it's a big, big area, really. And Josh is putting some bits and pieces in there, which is fab. Thank you very much, Josh. But your sexual fire, and all your desire, it can actually be reduced by how much sugar you're eating as well. Sugar is a massive impactor because it creates so much acidity in the body. And, if you are having a high sugar, high refined diet with processed foods, guess what? You are probably going to be impacting on your sexual functions and your ability to reproduce effectively. Because high levels of sugar actually in your bloodstream, because it impacts on your insulin, is basically turning off the genes that actually control your sex hormones. Oh, yes. put down, I think earlier people were saying, what were they? And there was one person was saying they were a Dime Bar, another one was a Twix. Put the confectionery down. Back off from the sweets. Indeed. And someone else earlier was talking about ginseng. Absolutely. You got your Panax ginseng. But different types of ginsengs do different things. So just realise that. And if you've got different pitches, some are more suitable, some will give you a more heightened response, some will actually not quite do the same. So, just make sure you're picking the right ginseng for yourself, There's lots of things out there that you can do. And someone else was talking about L-arginine. Really, really interesting, actually. I use L-arginine with my cancer patients, and obviously I'm not allowed to say in what capacity really with them, but it can be very, very beneficial and very, very powerful. But actually, often with people who've got heart disease, often you see erectile dysfunction linked to it, interestingly enough. Okay, and L-arginine can actually increase the action of nitric oxide, which basically is doing the similar thing. If you remember earlier, I was talking about Viagra, and that's what it triggers. Well, guess what? L-arginine increases that same action like Viagra. So, in effect, you don't have the side effects like you would have with Viagra with it. So that is something to consider, indeed. Let's see what's going on in the chat box. And Stingray saying, I offered to share the love a long time ago, Deb. Wasn't my fault. You didn't want all your friends seeing you meeting me off the bus. I know, Stingray. But thanks for the offer. I appreciated it. Okay, what else have we got? And Bitchin' Bob saying, can we grow our own ginseng, or is that banned now too? I think, well, it's interesting with the Codex, because the Codex Alimentarius, this part of it actually does say that growing your own, and if it's not grown in a specific way, if it's not sprayed with the defined chemicals and stuff, will eventually, I think, become something that will be banned. So I can't remember that article off the top of my head, because it's a long time since I've actually talked about Codex in detail. But if I remember rightly, this is why some of the honesty boxes in America with people who've got gardens are being stopped because of that factor, and other factors, of course, because they don't want them doing that. But I'm not sure whether you can grow your own ginseng anyway, and where you are. I'm not sure what the weather's like there. Let's see what else everybody's saying. Is that it? Yeah, that's crazy. Codex Alimentarius is crazy. It's a trade agreement which is being placed in by law, which is where our European law is actually leading that. It defines it to a certain extent, and but when they put a trade agreement in by law, which means that they have to apply it, and it's all about affecting our health. It's also that they can have control over our health fundamentally. This is why the raw food milk producers are finding it so difficult because of Codex and things like that. In the States, not good news at all. It is stopping nature. You're absolutely right, bitching. And I don't want you to be natural. They want to control our health at the end of the day, unfortunately. And it's about ourselves. Bring it back. Grow your own. Take control. Create what you want around you. And the more we grow our own, the more we support people locally who are providing food, the more we basically do that, the better it will be for ourselves, the more control we will be in, because we just need to take that away from them at the end of the day. Now, the other thing, just before I go, bitching saying raw food will soon be banned. Well, they banned raw milk. It was already licensed in the States, and of course it's very difficult to get raw milk anyway, because they say it's really bad for you. The problem with milk in general now is that because they allow a certain amount of blood and pus to go in it, and that's because they pasteurize it, and then you've got all the hormones in it that actually, even though I'm vegan, if you were going to have a milk, then raw milk is far, far better for you. If you can get it from your own animals, that's, as fresh as you can, obviously, that'd be even better. 3D printed printing plastic food. I actually posted something not so long ago on TNS about 3D printed plastic food, and it looks like that's the way it's going. It's only a matter of time before it's Soylent Green. You know, we were all going on about earlier about the horse in food. I actually, you know, I'll be honest, when are we going to find people in food, in all honesty? Anyway, so, and the last thing I think you should all be taking to help with your love, spreading love, get your omega fats inside you. Absolutely key. Absolutely key. It really, really is. Because those omega oils, one, your EPA and your DHA, basically, they help with the brain functioning. They absolutely do. And, you know, you've got your ALA oils, which basically are things like your flax seeds and your nuts. They're really, really good, but your body has to break them down. So if your body isn't able to break them down, then fish oils are far, far better for you. And you know, things like krill oil. But get your oils inside you. They are absolutely fundamental. They really, really are. And, you know, eat large amounts of them. Have good oils in your diet. So your fish, your nuts, your seeds. Your flax oils, your hemp oils. We all talk about hemp oil all the time on here, don't we? So, right. I do hope you've enjoyed today's show. And someone's saying, can we buy ginseng essentially from your website? No, you have to come directly to me. As I'm basically, now with herbs, you tend to have to go directly to the herbalist or the practitioner themselves. And to actually, and I effectively put my own together now. So, unfortunately, you might be able to get hold of it somewhere, but I'm not sure anymore. It's getting less and less where you can buy these things. And Stingray saying the mafia have been putting people in burgers for decades. I have no doubt about that. Well, I hope you've truly enjoyed today. I've had a laugh today. And as Bob's saying, yeah, nuts have been topical. Absolutely. And next week I'm actually talking about bowels. Yeah, I know, no shit. After all this, I am purely the warm-up actor for Shazzie. He's the master of the Tesla coils. I know that he's going to make your weekend, he's going to fulfill you. He's going to make you feel loved. He's going to make you feel passionate. He is wild, as we all know. I send you all love. And even more, I send it to the human angels out there. Okay, enjoy your weekend. Spread some love, guys. And tell everybody that I said so as part of your treatment. Bye-bye.